Why you can't tickle yourself. Run your fingers along the bottom of your foot right now. Go ahead. Nothing. Maybe a dull pressure, maybe a vague awareness that something is touching you. But tonight, if someone else does the exact same thing, same pressure, same speed, same spot, you'll jerk your leg away before you even decide to. Your body will betray you. Same skin, same nerves, completely different reaction. And the reason why is one of the strangest things your brain does every single second of your life. Here's the thing. You've been doing this since before you were born. Fetuses in the womb respond to external touch as early as 14 weeks. They flinch. They curl away. They react. But they don't flinch from their own hands brushing against their own faces. A brain the size of a walnut, floating in the dark, already knows the difference between self and other. That distinction, that invisible line between what is you and what is not you, has been running non-stop for your entire existence. And it started before you even had eyes to open. And the real answer to why you can't tickle yourself is far stranger than you'd expect. To understand it, we need to go back to the 19th century. In 1872, Charles Darwin published a book most people have never heard of, The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals. In it, he made an observation so simple that science ignored it for over 100 years. He noticed that ticklishness requires an element of surprise. You can't tickle yourself, he wrote, for the same reason you can't surprise yourself. The mind, Darwin suggested, has to be caught off guard for the sensation to work. Interesting idea, almost too simple. But Darwin didn't have the tools to explain why. He couldn't crack the skull open and watch the brain process touch in real time. He couldn't measure the electrical storms firing across nerve tissue. So the observation just sat there, a footnote in a book full of footnotes. A curiosity, waiting for technology to catch up. But here's what's fascinating. More than a century later, a neuroscientist named Sarah-Jayne Blakemore picked up exactly where Darwin left off. She was working at the Institute of Cognitive Neuroscience in London, and in the late 1990s, she started asking a deceptively simple question. What happens in the brain when you touch yourself versus when someone else touches you? She put people in an fMRI scanner and had them experience two kinds of touch. In one condition, a mechanical device stroked the palm of their hand. In the other, the subjects controlled the device themselves. They pressed a button, and the device delivered the same stroke. Same stimulus, same skin, same everything. But the brain scans told a completely different story. When the touch was self-generated, activity in the somatosensory cortex, the part of the brain that processes touch, dropped dramatically. The brain was actively turning down the volume on its own sensations. And this is where it gets strange. The mechanism behind it is called an efference copy. Every time your brain sends a motor command, move your finger, turn your head, shift your eyes, it simultaneously sends a copy of that command to your sensory systems. A prediction. Your brain is essentially saying, I'm about to move this finger to this location at this speed, so when the sensation arrives, cancel it out. It's not that you don't feel yourself. It's that your brain predicts what you're going to feel and subtracts the prediction from the actual sensation. What's left? Almost nothing. Think about that for a second. Right now, your tongue is sitting in your mouth. It's touching your teeth, your palate, the inside of your cheeks. You feel none of it. Not because the nerves aren't firing. They are, thousands of them. But your brain has predicted every single point of contact and erased it from your awareness. You are, at this very moment, performing an act of self-censorship so precise that you don't even know it's happening. Now here's the part almost nobody talks about. In 1999, Blakemore and her colleague Chris Frith published a study that took this from curiosity to something deeply unsettling. They worked with patients diagnosed with schizophrenia, and they found something remarkable. These patients could tickle themselves. The same self-generated touch that produced no response in healthy subjects, in these patients, it felt like someone else was doing it. The efference copy system was broken. Their brains were sending motor commands, but the predictions weren't arriving on time, or they were arriving distorted, or not at all. The result was that the boundary between self and other, the most fundamental boundary your brain maintains, had dissolved. Their own thoughts felt implanted. Their own movements felt controlled. Their own voice sounded foreign. These patients weren't just experiencing a sensory glitch. They were experiencing a fracture in the architecture of selfhood. And suddenly, something as silly as tickling became a window into one of the most devastating psychiatric conditions on the planet. So that settles it, right? The brain predicts, cancels, and that's why you can't tickle yourself. Clean. Elegant. Well, not quite. Because there's a layer underneath this that makes it even more complicated. In 2012, a team at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm took the efference copy model and pushed it further. They wanted to know, what happens when you add a delay? If you press a button and the touch arrives 200 milliseconds later, just a fifth of a second, does the brain still cancel it? The answer was no. That tiny gap, barely enough time to blink, was enough to break the prediction. The brain couldn't match the motor command to the sensation anymore, and the touch started to feel external, foreign, alien, like someone else was doing it to you. 200 milliseconds. That's all it takes to turn me into not me. And honestly, this might be the most unsettling part of the whole story, because what it tells us is that your sense of self isn't some deep philosophical essence. It's a timing mechanism, a prediction engine running on millisecond precision. When the predictions match the sensations, you experience agency. You feel like the author of your own actions. When they don't match, even by a fraction, the experience shatters. But here's the part that goes even deeper. The efference copy isn't just about touch, it's about everything your brain does. When you speak, your auditory cortex dampens the sound of your own voice. That's why recordings of yourself sound so wrong. You've been hearing a dampened, filtered version of yourself your entire life. The voice on the recording isn't the fake one, it's the real one. You've just never heard it properly. When you move your eyes, your visual cortex suppresses the blur. The world should smear across your retinas every time you shift your gaze, but it doesn't because your brain predicts the motion and edits it out before you see it. You are living inside a heavily edited version of reality. And the editor is you. Or rather, the editor is a part of you that you have no access to and no control over. This is the program running inside you right now. Every movement you make, every sound you produce, every sensation you generate. Your brain is running a parallel simulation, comparing prediction to reality and deleting everything that matches. It's the reason you can't tickle yourself. But it's also the reason you feel like a single coherent person moving through a stable world. Without it, every touch would feel foreign. Every sound would feel external. Every movement would feel like someone else was controlling your body. The next time you reach out and touch something, pay attention, not to what you feel, to what you don't feel. The pressure of your own fingers wrapping around a cup, the friction of your own skin against fabric, the weight of your own hand resting on your thigh. All of it erased, all of it invisible, quietly subtracted so you can focus on what matters, the things you didn't predict, the things you didn't cause, the world outside you. Your brain is proving something to you right now, in this very second, with every sensation it quietly deletes. It's proving that you are you, and the only reason you never notice is because it works.